You can create cameras inside of After Effects so that you can control what your audience is supposed to see at the right time. You can also frame your shot that way and all kinds of cool things. Now, I currently already have a camera in this particular comp, but I'm going to show you how to make one in just a moment. To see what the camera looks like, I'm going to make sure that my layers here are in 3D mode, and then I'm going to choose from the active camera, one of the different views here. So I'll choose custom view 1, which I really like working from this view here. But of course, I can also work from custom view 2, custom view 3, and more. I'll go back to this view here. And this guy is our camera. I'll go ahead and zoom in so you can see this. I'll choose my Track Z camera tool. And I'll hit the space bar on my keyboard to move over so we can take a look at this camera. All right, it's a nice little box. And this is what we're pretty much aiming at our scene. So I'm going to zoom out and just talk more about what we're looking at here. All right, the camera has this frame around it, this big box. So let me click on the camera again. We have this box here, and this frame is what your audience is actually looking at. You also have this guy right here, which allows you to click and change the pretty much target of the camera. So what you're looking at. So I'm going to put it like this. And I'm also going to go to where it says one view here, and I'll make this 2 views horizontal. And I'll click on this little viewport here, and I'm going to make this my active camera. All right, so I can see what my audience is looking at. Not pretty cool. I'll click on my camera again in this viewport, and I'll grab this little targeting guy. And as you can see, I can really change what I'm looking at. Now, a cool thing that you can do with the camera, of course, is you can move the camera through your scenes. So if you wanted to go through this window, for example, or you wanted to separate your layers out so that you can fly through them, you can absolutely do that. So what I'm going to do is come back to this view here, and I'm going to go to a different tool, my orbit camera, and I'll click and I'll simply move my mouse to the right. And as you can see, I do have some separation in these layers, but I can do more than that. So I'm going to separate them out a little bit. I'll grab the Canada picture, move further back, and I'm just going to make sure that these guys are just a little further apart. I'll grab my fog, move it further like this to the camera. So if I were to click on the camera, I could, in effect, push through this stuff. So I just went through the fog, I went through the house, and now I'm outside. And of course I can move up or whatever I need to do. So it's a really nice way to go past different elements. Now let's take a look at how to create a camera. So I'm going to go to my layer menu. I'll choose New Camera. The new camera dialog box appears and I can name this. Now, as you can see, I can have more than one camera. This is camera 1, this is camera 2. So I can call them what they are. For example, extreme close-up, medium shot, or whatever I need to. I can choose a preset here. So I can choose 50 millimeter, 35 millimeter, and so on. I can change my film size, my angle of view. I can simply scrub the hot text here. I can enable depth of field, which is really cool because it allows you to focus on certain things. If you've never heard of depth of field, all you have to do is take a pencil, for example, or your finger and hold it up to your eye. Of course, don't go into it. And then look at something in the distance. And then look at your finger. And you'll notice that only one of those things is going to be in focus. And that's what depth of field can do for you. All right, so that's just an example of something we can do. I'll go ahead and cancel that. And with my camera selected, the current camera, I can also go to Layer, Camera Settings. And it once again opens up this box. It shows me the name of the camera, which is in this case camera 1. And I can go ahead and play around with the settings if I want to. So I can change the units, if I want to, the pixels or inches or whatever I'm familiar with. And that changes everything else. So my film size is now in inches and everything else. All right, so that is how we can create a camera and also manipulate the camera, move it through the space, and just like everything else, you can twirl the camera open. I'll hit P for position, and you'll notice that we can animate this camera. So we have a stopwatch. I'm going to make sure I'm on the first frame here, and I'll just put my camera where it belongs. And I'll just go ahead and get this in view a little bit better. Put my camera over. and up. And I'm going to go ahead and enable animation on the first frame. And what I'm going to do is go to the last frame or close to it and simply animate the camera going forward. And that's it. I'll go ahead and click right here. And when I scrub, I now have animated that camera through my scene. So it's a really cool technique. Of course, if you have a different camera, you can animate that one as well. And you can choose which one you want to see the animation through. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll create another camera very quickly, and we'll leave it at camera 2. All right, so camera 2 is selected, and we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to twirl open the position property, and I'm going to animate it. And I'm going to go to 5 seconds, and I'm going to move the camera this time. Let me go ahead and hit spacebar, move this guy over. And I'm going to move the camera along the x-axis. So now I can look at what's happening in my active view. So for now, I'm going to make this one big view, and I'll make it my active camera. Don't forget, the active camera is camera 2. I'm going to scrub. Now I'm looking at whatever that camera is looking at. I can go through this list here, and I can choose camera 1. I'll scrub. I'll go to camera 2. So as you can see, it's really cool, and it's a great way to explore and experiment different shots and different animation options for your comps.